shake your waist.
Welcome back to Twist of Fate, a podcast that's going to help you find your inspiration to making your entrepreneurial dreams come true. Because after all, the true American way is to make the world a better place. When I was young, my dad, who was an NCAA tennis sensation, told me that in life, accept all challenges. That type of competitive spirit is one thing, but it's another thing entirely to train, to pursue, and to win Olympic gold. Today, my guest has done that and has definitely accepted all challenges of the sport and beyond. Connor Fields, my friend, BMX racing, first American winner. Thank you, and welcome to Twist of Fate.
Thanks. It's one heck of an intro. I hope I can live up to how good that intro was.
You already have, brother. You're a winner in my book, man. Like, I am proud of you. So let's talk, BMX racing. Where does your love of riding come from? Where did it originate?
I wish I had a better origin story for you, but I just was a kid who learned how to ride his bike. I was 6, 7 years old, and I was jumping off of curbs and doing the things that kids who learn how to ride a bikes do. And my mom found a flyer advertising.
Started with a mountain bike?
I don't remember what kind of bike it was, just a kid's bike, whatever it was. And my mom found a flyer just advertising the local racing track here in Vegas. She decided to take me out and try it, thought I might like it, and right away I loved it. It's not something that my parents did that they got me into. It's just we kind of tripped, fell, twist of fate, if you will, to get into it. I loved it. And
what type of racing track was that? Like, you're talking like a dirt racing track? Like, was it like loops? Like what?
So BMX racing, every track falls within a group of parameters. So BMX, to give you a little background, or a listener who doesn't know what BMX is, BMX stands for bicycle motocross. So it was a sport invented by kids who would watch motorcycle racing, motocross, and then copy it on bicycles. Mm-hmm. They would make little homemade tracks out of dirt and race. So a BMX track has a starting line, it has jumps, turns, it has a finish line, and the first person across the finish line wins. It's pretty simple. Mm-hmm. There is freestyle BMX, which is a different discipline. That's the flips and the tricks. But for me as a BMX racer, if my hands come off, something went very wrong. That's not on purpose. So the local BMX racing track here is one of 300 around the country. That is, it's like I said, starting line, jumps, turns, finish line, made of dirt. And I tried it, and right away, I loved it. I was hooked.
Did you have any inspirational figures or people you wanted to emulate that you saw on the tracks, or at that time it would be on TV, or, because it was an Olympic sport when you were coming along?
It was not. So it was put into the Olympics for the first time in 2008. It was the first action sport that was added into the Summer Olympics. So the Olympics saw the success of the X Games in the early 2000s, and they put in snowboard halfpipe was one of the first ones in the Winter Olympics, and then Shaun White, and it was a huge success. And they thought we need to do this in the Summer Olympics too. So BMX racing was first, and then years later, now skateboarding is in it, surfing is in it, and some of the other action sports as well. But as a kid, I looked up to the local fast riders, and they were 17, 18-year-old advanced riders, and they were just the fastest that I had ever seen. So I looked up to them. Then as I started competing on the national level, I was exposed to the professionals, and when I saw them, then I was inspired by them. And as I got older, I started following them more, and then started to actually try to emulate them and learn from them, as opposed to just, revere them.
Let me ask you, so Connor, at what point did you decide to make racing, cycling, more of your profession or your primary focus in life?
I guess it's kind of two different answers, the primary focus and the profession. The profession happens when you get older and you have bills, and you start realizing that, the garbage doesn't just get taken away for free. You got to pay for that. But when I was 15, so living at home, obviously I was in high school, 2008, I watched the Olympics for the first time. I watched BMX as part of the Olympics. And I was enamored. I thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. You know, the lights, the banners, the medals, like that whole thing was just so cool to me. And so that was when I decided that I wanted to do that and I was going to go all in. I was so inspired. I did what any inspired 15-year-old might do. I wrote on the wall of my parents' house with a Sharpie that one day I was going to win the Olympics. No.
Oh, wow.
So I got grounded for it, right? But my parents were happy that, you know, I just wanted to work out every day, right? I wasn't getting into trouble, drugs, alcohol, all the things that you could go down the bad pathway in school. I was just getting home from school and going to practice every day. Mm-hmm. So they let me keep that on the wall, you know, and it said in Sharpie that one day I was going to win the Olympics. And from that day forward, I was 100% all in. Nothing else mattered. I wanted to go to the Olympics.
And a question I have, you have to figure my ignorance. Typically the way it can work is like at that age and training that much, you could participate as an amateur or there was like pro things that you could go into, but you can't accept money, correct? If you want to compete.
Couple different things. So number one is on the money side, if you want to go to college for like a college scholarship, you can't. BMX does not have college scholarships. There's a couple of schools that offer it as like a club program, but it's not like NCAA sanctioned, things like that. So I could accept money. I mean, I made money in like money dash races when I was 15. You know,
I could believe it.
A couple $100 here, a couple $100 here, whatever, nothing crazy. And then the Olympics used to be an amateur event, but I think in like the 70s or 80s, I think it changed because 92, the Dream Team, obviously they weren't amateur. So from then on, you've been able to make money to go to the Olympic Games.
Gotcha.
So I could accept money. Obviously, when you're 15, you're still young. You don't start racing at the elite level until you're 17, is when you're age eligible. You can, even if you're good enough at 15, which nobody would ever be good enough at 15, 17 is the age minimum. So at that age is when I started competing against the pros and really finding out where I stacked up.
Second question, I'm a business guy, so I'm going to ask these. So could you accept a sponsor if they wanted to sponsor you, you know, where you have patches and you wear their logo?
Yeah, I mean, I accepted the first sponsor when I was like 9 or 10 years old. But
Who was your sponsor?
Mostly bike companies, right? It was like, if you think about it, and when you're 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, those ages, you're not getting money, you're getting product, right? You're getting a free bike, a free a couple of sets of tires, handlebars, grips. Think about all the parts of a bike. Those are all different companies. So those companies want the best riders to be riding their product. But if you're advertising if you're a bike company advertising the smaller sized bikes, you can't have a pro advertise the kid-sized bikes.
That is correct.
So you want the best 9-year-old that all the other 6, 7, 8-year-olds are looking at, that stud 9-year-old to be riding your equipment. So I started accepting, you know, sponsorship at that age. And then from there, like if you were really good, you would get your race fees paid for, or maybe they would cover your hotel room at the race, things like that. I didn't start getting actual like checks until I was 16, 17 years old.
And as I have this is an educational podcast too. I have a lot of young people that watch. What was the process you took to even find a sponsor? Did they approach you? Did you approach them? Did you apply in some way?
Yeah, there's different ways to do it. Some do have applications. You fill out your application and you submit it. Some have it where they just will scout. They'll see you. You'll be winning. They'll come up to you. They'll ask if you have a tire sponsor. And if you don't, do you want to ride my tires? We'll give you 10 sets. But for me, my dad's a businessman and we're from here in Vegas. And my dad actually, there used to be, not anymore.
But they planted the seed for the idea of you?
Kind of, but there was a trade show here, the biggest trade show in bicycles, not just BMX. Mountain bikes, road bikes, any kind of cycling used to be here in Vegas, called Interbike. And my dad, I remember as a kid, I'd walk around and he would hand out resumes, right? Of all the races I've done, the results that I've had, and my grades in school and all that kind of stuff. And so I don't know if that turned any sponsors over, but I do have this vivid memory of walking around handing out resumes, which now as an adult, like I appreciate that my dad taught me that, but it's kind of funny to think about an 8-year-old kid walking around handing out resumes.
Twist of Fate podcast will be right back.
AI is a very interesting topic. The real American way is to embrace change. It is possible that many of us one day will work for an AI. Get used to it. If I wanted to invest in AI, what's the best way to play it? I don't know if you checked out the AI Drake is a better lyricist than the real Drake. Would you go to an AI church congregation? AI is coming whether you like it or not. Invest in it. Get jobs in it. Embrace the change.
And now, back to Twist of Fate podcast.
That's ambition, my friend.
Yeah.
That means, it already shows your dedication was there. So this is great. Another question I'm curious is like, you were at a very young age winning races, sponsors, like wearing the apparel, free bikes. Were you proud of what you were doing at that time, or just still of this obsession to the Olympics? Like, were you aware? Like, I mean,
yes and no. I mean, it's not that I wasn't proud. I think it was just like that was my only reality. I didn't know anything different. I only knew what it was like for boxes of product to show up in my house. I didn't know anything else, right? I also, this is a different example, but I don't know what it's like to have a traditional college experience. I don't know what it's like to have I've never had a boss. Like, I've had coaches and I've had sponsors. They obviously tell me what to do, but I've never had a 9-to-5 where a boss says, you have to be here at this time to do this. I don't know what that's like. So, my reality is just different. It's just my pathway. And so my pathway was that when I was 15, 16 years old, phones were ringing like, hey, we want to pay for your travel to ride our bicycle. Hey, we want to, pay you an appearance fee to come compete in our event. Like, that was just kind of my reality.
Was an ego boost.
I mean, I don't know if it was an ego booster. I think this just comes from the way my parents raised me. I don't think I've ever been like egotistical. But I will also say that I've never really struggled with self-confidence.
I don't think you would.
And it was just like any normal kid. I went through ups and downs, and even now I go through ups and downs. Right? I don't have like this perfect track record, 100%. I've never doubted myself, but when you work hard, and this is one thing I actually say about the Olympics, and I'm going to skip ahead and then come back. When you dedicate yourself to the level that I've dedicated myself to, and then you win the Olympics, there's nothing that you doubt that you can do if you really truly set your mind to it, within reason. I'll never be in the NBA. I could train for 8 hours a day every day for 5 years, and I'll never be good at basketball. It's just not my thing, right? I'll never be a ballroom dancer. I have no rhythm. But if I woke up tomorrow morning and I said, I want to go be a doctor, I believe that if I did the work and made the effort and made the commitment, that I could do that because I have that track record of doing it. So I think even at a young age, on a smaller scale, I would say I want to be the national champion, right? I want to be the 16 and under national champion. And then I would work for 12 months to do it, and then I would achieve that goal. So it just created that cycle of belief and I guess faith in myself that if I did the work, I could make the goal happen.
Is winning a rush for you?
Of course.
Thrill.
But I will also say, and I think this is true for any like super high performer, you hate losing more than you enjoy winning. Like, I love winning, don't get me wrong, but the joys and the successes are great, but what sticks out more is just how absolutely terrible losing is. And so I think, a lot of people that are super highly successful, like a Tom Brady type, I'm not comparing myself to Tom Brady, but like that mindset, it's like, yeah, Super Bowls are great.
I think you can compare yourself with whoever you want when you win an Olympic gold medal. I don't know about that.
But like, he's losing is what drives you. You just don't want to lose. And I think that's part of it.
Was there a race that you lost that really hurt?
I mean, there's a bunch. The first one that comes to mind.
It really pissed you off.
Even pissed off is not the right word. The first Olympics I competed at in London, 2012, I was 19. I went into the event as one of, if not the favorite. I won all the qualifiers, won the semifinal. I was the number 1 seed in the final. For all intents and purposes, I should have won. The last thing the NBC announcer said before the race goes is, my money's on Fields. And if you watch the race on YouTube, you hear it. And then I completely choked. I just blew it.
What does it mean you choked?
Moment got to me. I just didn't execute.
Like, in your mind, you weren't focused on the race? Your mind was elsewhere? You were stressed out? Like,
Well, Well,
I'm not a racer. I'm not an Olympian, so I don't know.
To specifically analyze it in a simple way, I'll go simple and then I'll go complex. In a simple way, I was focused on the outcome, not the process. I was already thinking about winning. I was already thinking about what it was going to feel like to win the medal. I was ahead of myself and I didn't stick to the process. I got overexcited because I was the #1 seed and I was on fire, and I kind of thought it was a foregone conclusion that I was going to win, but the job wasn't done. I wasn't focused on the steps that it took to execute in the final. On the big scale, there's nothing that you can do to prepare yourself for the size, scale, and pressure of the Olympics. And so I'm 19. I'm a year after high school. I'm a kid. And I'm sitting in the Olympic final with David Beckham in the stands, with all these cameras around, media everywhere, whole country's relying on you.
Biggest crowd maybe you've ever seen?
I don't remember which of the Olympics was the biggest, but the Olympics,
at that point.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. But all the Olympics were way bigger than anything else you ever did. But it wasn't even so much the crowd as it was just what the race meant. Like, you just knew that this was the Olympics. Like, even racing, and I'm going to skip ahead again, even racing in Tokyo during the COVID games with no crowd, you were still just as nervous because you knew that this was the Olympics, right? Crowd, no crowd. It changed the energy, but it didn't change what it meant. But yeah, I wasn't focused. The pressure got to me. I just kind of, in that final moment, just kind of choked. And so that loss was probably the most defining moment of my entire career because of what it meant and how hard I had to dig myself out of it from a lot of different perspectives. The self-confidence, like, can I do it? If I get back to this, if I do all the work to get back to the Olympic final again, which is not a foregone conclusion, how can I trust myself that I'm not going to do it again? Because my only data point is failure.
Okay, beautiful stuff. Question is, so this loss was not related to training. This was not related to,
Technical,
technical. Get ready, set, go. You missed it. It's not any of that. It was mental. It was, and my assumption is, at that level, these are the things that's the difference between the winner and loser.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when you're talking about the Olympic final, it's 8 people. You're talking about the 8 best athletes in your sport in the world at that time. And you're talking razor's edge margins of how good everybody is. And that's where the mental game really does just make the difference. And if I was off by even 1%, like, I'm not that much better than those other athletes where I can make up for it, like maybe at a lower level event where I'm head and shoulders better than everybody. And if I execute at 98%, I'll be fine. In order to win the Olympics, you have to execute at 100% and be a 10th better than the other people already. Because if those other people execute 100% too, you've got to be better.
And that, would you say, is one of the greatest tests of your character, was the loss, right?
Yes, and it wasn't even like that, a momentary test of character. I mean, it was a 4-year process that it set on, because as soon as it was done, I immediately knew that I wanted to go and try to fix it again. But you can't go do that next week. You can't.
Yeah, 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
And so it's 4 years, and then you have to go through the entire process again. It's a 2-year process to qualify for the Olympics, right? So basically you have 2 years, and then you start qualifying again, and so therein lies some of the demons start coming up. Like, am I going to do all this work, and what happens if it happens again? You go through ups and downs.
What if you have an injury?
When I did, and then you're at other events, because every year there's a world championship. So what happens when you're at the world championships and you choke at the world championships, and then which happened, and then now it's.
And you never had those doubts before that moment, or you did?
I think I did, but not to the same scale, right? Like, I think you have natural doubts, and it's more like, it was more normal. And these doubts came throughout the career of like, did I really prepare as hard as I could have? Was I slacking a little bit this month? Things like that. It was more your normal stuff, or just somebody who showed up who was better. And you're like, oh, I don't think I can beat them today. But that was more normal, as opposed to like, I should win this event, and I don't know if I can. Right. And then, so for the next 4 years, one of the things I worked on with my sports psych was like, win the events that you should win. Execute to the best of your abilities. Ignore everything else. Just execute to the best of your abilities. And there was kind of shift of focus and learning how to kind of do that.
Was there a coach, a friend, your dad, your mom, who was kind of like, did you talk to anybody about these?
Yeah. And I think there's more than one. Obviously, I had a coach, and then through the Olympic team, you have access to like really high level sports psychologists who I worked with my whole career.
They're helpful?
100%. It's actually, and I watched a shift. When I started, it was an option. Now you have no choice. Now, if you're an Olympic athlete, you have to work with a sports psychologist.
Because so much of competing is...
Yeah, it's partially that, but it's also to protect the mental health of the athletes, because there has been a lot of stories of athletes.
They hurt themselves.
There's been suicides. There's been people who go through like really heavy bouts of depression. I mean, think about like when
There's a lot of pressure.
Yes,
Representing your country.
your child. Think about these kids that are 17 years old.
You are right. They're starting their lives, but they are competing at the highest level.
Yep. I mean, we saw it all take place right front and center with Simone Biles. And Simone would have been early 20s at that time. And imagine the effect that would have like on anybody to be in that position. And I actually think that's a great thing that Team USA did. They reallocated resources to bring on more mental health professionals and require athletes to use them. And I think that's a great thing.
That's step forward.
Yeah.
Could we talk a little bit about training?
Sure.
And I'm hearing you train your entire life. Like, my first thought is, hey, if you're winning BMX races, you're like the coolest kid in town. You got all the girls, but what I hear is like you had a lifestyle of training. Like it's a part of you. How do you train to be a BMX racer? Forget the Olympics. Before that, I'm just saying, you wake up. Are you like Rocky? You're drinking eggs? I have no idea what you're
I
doing.
cook my eggs before I eat them. To be a BMX racer, you need a few different things. You need, I describe it as so. You need the explosiveness of a 100-meter sprinter, because we are our own engines. And you're pedaling a bike from zero to as fast as you can, as quickly as you can. So you need the acceleration. You need the balance of a gymnast, because you're jumping 30, 40 feet while going 30, 40 miles an hour, bumping people in the air and trying to land on a tiny little spot. You need the mindset of a fighter, because you crash, break bones, have to knock other people down, and then get back up and keep going. And you need the endurance of like a 400-meter sprinter, because our races are 40 seconds long and you don't pace yourself, you just sprint. So you need all these different things. So all those different aspects of it, you train differently for. You lift really heavy in the gym for the explosiveness. You squat.
What age did you start doing
Gym?
Yeah.
15. Yeah, 15.
weight training, benching?
Squat, deadlift, clean, plyometrics, all sorts of stuff there.
You would go to the high school gym, or did you build your own? And
I think at home, 24-hour fitness or something.
okay, yeah.
And then as I got older and I started training for the Olympics, I had access to the Olympic Training Center. And then, at the end of my career, once the UFC Performance Institute opened, I trained at the UFC PI. And I've had access to amazing gyms.
There's awesome gyms here in Vegas, by the way.
Yeah.
Like Fraser Couture, and I'm sure the UFC was fun. And
Oh yeah. It was, you're also surrounded by a bunch of other people who are training to be world champions. So it was a different attitude in there. But then you're riding the track, working on your technical abilities all the time. You're working on your starts, your corners, your jumps, things like that. You're doing conditioning. There's all these different pieces that you do.
were you a runner too?
No, you don't run. So two very different movement patterns, running and cycling.
I'm thinking for your lung capacity.
You would cycle. Because think about this: is Usain Bolt going to jump on a bike?
I don't know.
He's not. He's gonna. You stick to your.
I don't know what his training regimen is.
You stick to your sport specific movement.
Gotcha.
You're not going to completely change the movement pattern. Yes, you use your legs to run. Yes, you use your legs to cycle. Very different movement patterns. So you would do long road cycles to build up your fitness base, or you would do intervals where you're sprinting for 10 seconds, then you rest a minute, then you sprint 10 seconds. Different things like that. But what I also say, and how I describe training for the Olympics, or to anybody who's reaching for super high achievement, when you're an Olympic athlete, you're on the job 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. you're never off. Every single decision and every choice that you make matters and it counts. So think about it. If I decide to stay up late and have a Netflix binge, that affects my sleep cycle, my energy, my recovery, practice tomorrow. If I decide to have dessert, right, that affects the following day. If I decide, hey, it's Friday, I live in Vegas, I'm going to go out, have a few drinks. Like that's days of practice that's going to be affected. Right? And so now I'm sitting here every day thinking, okay, is that French rider? Is he having a beer tonight? Is he having dessert? Right. And so you're micro-analyzing every single detail to try to be the best. And when you line up at the Olympics, to know and be truly confident, you have to know that you did every single detail to be 100% prepared. And so that,
And if you break from the regiment for really samurai focus, you got to live with that the rest of your life, because when after that moment, you already know.
if you lose a race by 0.002 seconds, which I have and people have, you start analyzing, where was that 2000s? Was it that pizza? Was it, what was it, right? And so it's that you just don't want that regret. And so it is such a high level of focus and intensity. And again, it's just my experience, so I don't know anything else. So people always like, oh my gosh, you're crazy. How did you have that level of focus? I'm like, I don't know, it's just what I did.
I just don't know how you can maintain it.
It's what I did. And we had fun, right? Like when it was the off.
Did you have hobbies? Did you ever do anything for fun?
Yeah, and that was what I was gonna say, right? Like when I didn't like live like a monk every single day. When we had the off season, I would still, have dessert or relax or whatever. Or if like we had a big event and then we didn't have an event for 4 weeks, it would just be strategic, right? Like, okay, I don't have any events for 4 weeks. Tonight's the night that I can go get some burgers and fries and hang out or whatever. But it was just, you just had to really think about everything that you were doing. You couldn't just, like if you're an accountant from 9 to 5, you work, and then at 6 o'clock, if you want to go and do whatever, it's not going to affect your ability to do your work the next day. But not the same for us.
Let me ask you. So let's say one of your buddies comes by, hey man, we're going to the basketball courts, or hey man, I got a skateboard, let's go check it out. You're like, but you would say that. You don't need your coach to protect you. You don't need your dad to protect you, or say, hey, that's probably not a good idea.
It's not going to help me win. I look at everything through this really specific lens of like, is it, I think like the fork in the road. Will this help me win the Olympics? If the answer is yes, I'm going. If the answer is no, I'm not going.
My friend, clearly that path is not for everybody.
And at one point it stopped being for me. It's like you can't sustain that forever. And it took a while for me to relax. Like, I could have a glass of wine tonight. It's all right. No big deal. Because I felt guilty for a while. Even after I'm retired now. I'm like, why am I feeling guilty?
Sure,
right.
Sure. You're like, I should be training. I should be.
Yeah. And I still,
it's like deprogramming at that point.
Kind of, yeah. But there are things that I appreciate from it. I do have a high level of discipline. Like, I still eat clean. I still exercise. I still do all those things because I know how much it can affect your performance, and you can be better because of it. But I'm going to go to a concert tomorrow night. I'm going to have a few drinks. I'm not going to feel guilty. When I was competing, I would have felt guilty for it.
Sure. I want to fast forward to when the Olympic training facilities, and like, okay, now you're up to start training for your first Olympic Games. Did you know what you were walking into? Like, what is it like to, live that life, or to be with the other Olympic athletes? Like, was that a truly new experience, or I don't know, did they kind of walk you in and kind of indoctrinate you into it a little earlier? I just don't know how does this work?
Yeah, I mean, you're set up for success. So they do everything that they can to support and try to help you succeed, right? It's even gotten better because I walked into that in like 2009, 2010, right? So that was 15 years ago. Geez, I'm getting old. It's gotten better now where they can help you transition better now. But at that point in time, even, they tried to like, hey, you're just a kid. We're going to make sure that we do what we can to help you ease into it. With that being said, I was the only kid on the team. Like on the U.S. national team,
there were older men.
It was men. It was 25, 26, 27-year-old men. And there's a couple of younger 20s athletes, and then me. And
it's all sports in that facility, or is it?
I was just referring to BMX, but
okay.
So there's three Olympic training centers in America. The one everybody knows is Colorado Springs. That one is gymnastics, swimming, a few different other sports. There's one in Lake Placid, New York, which is winter sports, bobsled, skeleton, things like that. The one I trained at was in San Diego. It was BMX racing was there, but then field hockey, Paralympics, track and field,
Got it.
archery. There's a few rugby. There's a few different sports to train there.
To be 19 in San Diego is not exactly the worst assignment.
No, it wasn't bad at all.
So then that means you lived, slept, ate there for a certain period of time.
I would go for camps. I never fully moved there. I always remained here as home base in Las Vegas, but I would go and spend 4 weeks there, or I'd go and spend 2 weeks there, and I would do stints and training camps. I was down there probably 40-50% of the time, but I would go and do camps there.
And then
Texas,
you're assigned.
Texas, California. Come on.
Yeah, trust me, I know about it. I'm living.
I'm in Nevada. I mean,
Yeah, I'm living that. So then you get a coach, you get assistants, you get trainers while you're at these camps, correct?
Yep.
That's
the thing I miss most is having the access to the massage therapist, the chiropractors, the athletic trainers. Like, I'm a little sore today, and then you go in and you get 4 hours of body treatment. That's what I miss most.
And even recovery, right? Like,
oh yeah, ice baths, hot tubs, all that kind of stuff. You have access to whatever.
I mean, it's nice, but is that like, I'm doing a Rocky analogy, like you still prefer to go back home and like do your thing, like training back at home with conditions that things you know?
No, I mean, I was there because it was the best place to train.
Oh, okay.
But
you felt that way.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's the Olympic Training Center. There's nowhere better to train. But you can only do it so long before you go insane because it's just Groundhog Day every single day. You wake up, you go to the cafeteria, you eat health. You go train, you go get treatment, you go sit in your room and watch a movie for 4 hours. Then you go to bed and you repeat the process. You can only do that for so long without going completely insane. I was still a kid. I mean, I was very in high school when I was and growing up, I was very friendly, and I had a large friend group, and I was on prom court and doing all this stuff, right? So I would come home, I would get my social interaction, and I would see my friends, and I would do things, and I would be a kid, and then I would go lock in for a few weeks, and then that was kind of my balance and the way I did it.
And then, did you network and build any camaraderie with the other athletes?
For sure, I've got a lot of great friends who I still keep in touch with from all sorts of different sports.
Yeah.
And that was one of the coolest things about being a part of the Olympics is meeting people from all different sports and all different parts of the country, all different walks of life. And one of my roommates when I was there is the 3-time Olympic gold medalist for shot put. And he is just an absolute monster, a gigantic human, just one of the strongest people in the world. And
it's probably neat. You get to see him train too. Like you're kind of looking at what he's.
I don't want to look at him because he makes everybody feel weak. I mean, I'm in there squatting 400, and that's a lot of weight. He's there squatting 650, and I'm like, Jesus. I made good friends with the Olympic gold medalist in the blind 100-meter dash, or Paralympic gold medalist blind 100-meter dash. I mean, you meet all sorts of amazing people when you're there.
Was the food good?
Define good. It was healthy. It was functional. Nobody's gonna.
What is good food to you?
Well, I mean, good food. So,
I'm not talking about training. Like
I live in Vegas, man. I mean, we got the best food in the world here. Let's go. Steakhouse. We go to sushi. You go do whatever. The correct answer is my fiance's food. But
look, you're on PEP. Happy wife, happy life. Good job. You got a good one there. You got a good one. So then, but where I'm going with this is I also feel like to maintain that type of composure, there's certain things that are like food for the soul. I understand dietitian, nutrition, calories, but did they also kind of help you with?
Yeah, it's a big cafeteria.
You're away from home and stuff. And you're 19.
Think college. It's like a cafeteria like that, but your options are pretty healthy. There's rice and chicken and fish and steak and fruit and vegetables and. In the morning it's an omelet station. It's not like terrible food, right? Mm-hmm. But you're not talking like ice cream sundae bar. You know what I mean? It's it's pretty healthy.
I don't think you'd eat that stuff anyway, personally. But
yeah, they would do
Did they give you a dietitian?
Yeah, you had access to a dietitian.
So you had a custom diet, you had a card and don't eat this, don't do that.
Certain people would, depending on where you were at. If you were trying to cut weight, gain weight, whatever it was, they would. For me, I never had a problem with any of that stuff.
Were you a natural eater? You had a healthy appetite?
Yeah, I had a healthy appetite. Mm-hmm. I knew.
At 19, that's different. Some people don't eat a lot,
I ate too much. Is my problem when I was 19. And I took more of the education. They would say, hey, eat more of this, eat this on days where you have heavy training load, eat this on a day off for recovery. Like that was what I did, instead of having like a super specific, like eat 6 bites of tilapia and 4 bites of broccoli or whatever.
So then let's fast forward to winning.
Mm-hmm.
You go back after that loss
Mm-hmm.
and you're out for Olympic gold and you win. Who's the first person you look for? What eye contact did you make? Did you look at this, at the time? Did you look at the clock? Did you cry? Like, what's your first instinct when you win something like that?
I crossed the finish line, and if you look at photos when I crossed the finish line, it's shock is what the face is. And the reason I say that it's shock is, and there you can see that it is you imagine and you daydream about this moment every day for 8 years. Every day. You're in the trenches in training, in the dog days, thinking about this moment. You're lying in bed at night thinking about this moment, and then this moment happens. Right? It almost doesn't feel real. So you've dreamed about it so many times. You're sitting there pinching yourself like, is this actually happening? And as I cross the finish line, right to the right, maybe 20, 30 feet away, is my coach, my training partner, the Team USA program director, one of my good childhood friends who was an assistant coach. Like, there's a group of people, and they were all there, and they were going nuts, right? And I veer my bike, and I literally throw my bike and just jump into their arms. And there's this hilarious video, and the photos are great, of the 5 of us just like jumping up and down, going crazy, because the emotion is just all release, right? Because I won the race in 36.4 seconds was the time. So 40 seconds before we were jumping up and down, it was the most pressure-filled, tense moment of your life. All the work comes up to this very moment, and this is going to define essentially whether or not the last 4 years, and even going back to like being a kid, the last 15 years were worth it, right? And whether you win or lose doesn't define whether it's worth it. That's not a good way to put it, but you kind of feel that way. So you go from this incredibly tense moment, silent in there, all the pressure in the world, crazy race, cross finish line, you just release, you let it all out, jumping up and down, going nuts, having a blast. And then you start, making your way back to the Team USA tent. You change into your medal uniform. You go accept your medal. You're still in shock. You go, the biggest buzzkill after that, you go to drug testing. And then you got to go get drug tested. That's the buzzkill. But then you go to your press conference, and then it's like this whirlwind of 12 hours of media and doing all this stuff. And then
It was not like that before.
When you lose?
Yeah.
No, when you lose, you're done. You go, you change, you leave.
Big contrast, right?
Huge contrast. And it was, you go, and like within an hour of crossing that finish line, when you lose, you're back in the room. You're back in your room, and you're taking a shower and packing up, getting ready to leave the next day.
So that's probably very difficult to see your Olympic comrades, like that you trained with, in other sports. When they lose,
I can empathize for sure.
Yeah, like that's not, they're hurting.
Yep. But with that being said, I will, a lot of people, when you watch the Olympics, you don't see this because most people obviously are not on the inside. And this will change the way that you watch it. There are there are two different types of Olympic athletes. There's the athletes that making the Olympics was their goal. The goal is done when they're there. If there are 30 athletes competing in an event, or 15 teams competing in an event, the vast majority of them know that even if they have their best day, they have no shot.
I got you.
Because if you're swimming and it's a timed sport, you know that your best time is 30 seconds slower than the guys who are going to win. But in every sport, there are 5 or 6 athletes, 5 or 6 teams that if they have their day, they can go home with a medal. So for them, the mission continues when you get there. So when you're at the Olympics, you can see, because the athletes that...
And by the way, the ones that don't have the times or the pedigree to win, they're not casuals. They're training.
Oh, no, they're the 15th best person in the world, right? Which I always laugh, because people are like, and you can even use football as an example, like, our quarterback sucks. He's one of the 30 best quarterbacks in the entire world.
You're correct.
He's just the 15th best, and you're comparing him to the number 1 best, right? So the guy who gets 10th place at the Olympics, like, oh, he sucks. It's like, no, He's the 10th best person in the world. But anyway, when you're at the Olympics, the athletes that are just there to compete, they're having a blast, taking selfies, meeting people, having a great time because it's all gravy, right? The athletes,
They're like absorbing the experience because they know it's not going to last.
that's what they're there for. They're there for the experience. For an athlete that's in my category, it's a business trip. I'm getting first, second, third, or this is an epic failure. And so the pressure is immense and you're not having fun and it's not enjoyable. So, there are athletes that I know that their whole goal was just to make the Olympics and they had a blast and they got 20th place and they didn't care. They're taking selfies. I can also empathize with, in my sport, I know the athletes who, like my teammate in Rio when I won got 4th. And that's the worst place you can get because you are so close.
Yeah, no medal, no medal. So you're going back to the locker room, back to the drawing board, back to hitting the beat and training and all that, or you're quitting, right? Like that's hard.
It's tough. Yeah, it's tough. But with that being said, the risk when you sign up for it. You know that, you are risking either the best day of your life or potentially one of the worst. And that is, a risk you're willing to take. And I think a lot of people, live their life on this range where they're never high, never lower than this. When you're doing what we're doing at the Olympics, you can get the highest of highs, the absolute most ecstatic you could possibly be. And you could also get the lowest of lows, right? Which I got in my 3rd Olympics and we'll get into, but like you take the risk. It's no different than in business. If you want to build $1 billion business, you're taking $1 billion risk.
Yeah. And no, well, there's a part of me, as I'm an entrepreneur, you always wonder, is this project or this business or this initiative, is it my life's best work? And you don't know. But if it is, then you want to enjoy the moment. But that's where I was going to ask you, as a winner at the highest level, that moment's got to be up there as one of the best moments of your life.
As of now, it is the best moment of my life, right? Of course, like having a child, that kind of thing, I'm sure will eclipse it. But like, if you could tell me right now that I could relive a day,
It would be that one.
no question. What would even compare?
Yeah.
I won the Olympics. Like, I won the Olympics, the biggest sporting event in the world. How do you top that? And that's something I had to talk to my sports psychologist about, is like, nothing I ever do will have the same stakes, the same rush, right? Like, I could go be wildly successful in any other capacity, but I'm probably not going to be the best in the world at whatever that is, right? And it's a double-edged sword because I've experienced that. I've been the best in the world at something, but it's also like, okay, cool. Like I achieved this other goal, and it's not. And if I compare that goal to the Olympics, I'm always going to be disappointed. So I can't compare.
Let me ask you something. So then you win. Incredible moment. What in your mind do you think that you want to motivate yourself to go back and go back to the Olympics again? Is it's not enough? Like at that point, you're like, I want to do it again, or I can do it again. Is it a personal challenge? Because that's a different motivator than losing. Like I talk about the seeds of discontent in business or in life leads to a willingness to change. I could see someone like you lose and you're going to hit the pavement to come back to win. But when you win, to go back and do it again, like how do you get up for that?
A few different things. So number one was I was 23 years old when I won. I'm the best in the world at something I'm dedicated to. How do I just walk away? Like I'm still in prime age, right? Like prime age in my sport is mid-20s. So I'm like just coming into my prime.
But probability speaking, like maybe you go out on top.
Right, but I almost won the first one. I should have 2 at this point. Right? So my only data points are winning or being the number 1 seed in the final. So by that logic, I could apply that the third time would be the same. I'll have a shot. With that being said too, once you win the Olympics, you start making more money. So now I'm at my highest earning potential for these next 4 years because I'm the Olympic champion. How am I going to walk away from that? I still love the sport.
You make money so you get some cash prize for winning, but then there's sponsors or like.
Well, you get money for winning the Olympics from Team USA, but it's public information. You can Google how much you make. It's not a secret, and it's not that much.
Right. But because you won, there's endorsements, there's other
Yeah.
things.
So my bike, all my contracts from all my sponsors went up after winning, right? My bike sponsor, Monster Energy Drink, Ralph Lauren, GoPro, like all the sponsors that
You're in
are
advertisements now?
well, I was not now currently, but when I was
No, but I'm saying way after that, right?
yeah, yep, for sure. So then, you have a base level and then you win a gold medal. And then obviously when you renegotiate, your value is higher. So now these next 4 years, this is like my prime time to earn as much money as I possibly can.
That's the way you were thinking.
100%. And I also knew that
And if you win again, it's a shot to be even.
it keeps going. BMX racers make a little bit of money, but I'm still going to need a job one day. Like I'm not going to retire, right? It's not NFL money, but
But it's a good first start. It's like a head start.
oh, it's a head start for sure. And I got half my college paid for from Team USA. Like there's a lot of awesome things that came from it. But I was already thinking like at that point, make as much money as I possibly can. That way I can make the decisions that I want to in the future because I have built this safety nest egg and I've been smart with it. Like I'm maxed out IRAs every single year from 18 to 28. So like taking pressure off myself in the future. That was my whole mindset while I was competing, is to use it as a vehicle to not have to have a boss that I didn't like, to not have to do things I didn't want to do when I was in it.
Twist of Fate podcast will be right back. And now, back to Twist of Fate podcast.
Kudos on you, because not all the Olympic athletes do that.
Most don't.
Yeah, and even professional athletes for that matter. So you get to the next Olympic competition, and it didn't go the way you had planned. Is that heartbreaking at that point, or you've experienced loss before, like, and you're older now?
Yep. So a couple things. So first off, don't forget that it was the first and only Olympics that was postponed ever, COVID. So it was a year delayed. So you've been training for 4 years, and then you wake up one morning.
That's just weird.
You wake up one morning to an announcement that says Olympics has been postponed. Right? And then you're training for the next year, wondering if it's even going to happen. Because remember COVID, and you're literally trying to do the worst thing you could possibly do, which is bring somebody from every single country to one place, right? So you're sitting there for the whole year like, is this actually going to happen? So you're training, but you're not 100% sure. It was a really weird time. Get to the Olympics, no fans, no spectators, parents can't come, family can't come. You land at the airport, you go to the Olympic Village, you're not allowed to leave. It was a really odd experience. But
masks, spread out.
You wake up in the morning, you take a test. If you pass your test, you're allowed out of the building. If you don't pass your test, you're quarantined and you can't compete, which happened to a couple athletes. Really weird experience. But how I got through it is I reminded myself that somebody at the end is going to win. Somebody's going to win. So if I'm doing this, I might as well give it my best shot to make that person me. And, I didn't just lose. What ended up happening was I won my quarterfinals. Coming to the semifinals, I was the number 1 seed. Definitely one of the favorites. And in the semifinal, right before, like 15 minutes before the medal race, I had already done enough to qualify for the finals at this point. So I still made the finals. I collided with a French rider, and I suffered one of the worst accidents in the history of the Olympic Games. Broken ribs, collapsed lung, torn ligaments in my shoulder, torn bicep, and traumatic brain injury. 4 brain bleeds, stopped breathing, intubated on the track, in a coma, taken to a hospital in Japan, woke up 5 days later. No idea how I got there. No one in the hospital who spoke English, and my phone next to me on the bed.
And you're wondering what happened. Like,
Just 1 minute you're getting ready to
up to this point, you had injuries or minimal injuries, but nothing life-threatening. This is like your first time.
I mean, I'd broken bones, torn ligaments. I had actually had internal bleeding at one point when I was a teenager, but nothing that was like this. Nothing that was like, life-threatening.
Do you remember the accident?
I don't remember the whole day. And then
I've seen footage though.
yeah, I mean, it was on live television. My parents watched it at a watch party in Vegas. If you Google my name, what comes up is pictures and videos of the accident, right? So
That's true.
Yep. So not that I won, it's the accident. Lots of people win the Olympics. Not very many people almost die while competing, I guess. But yeah, I woke up, my phone was there, opened my phone, and I started trying to piece things together. Basically a text message from everybody that I've ever met, because it happened on live television, so it's no secret. They're starting the Olympic broadcast every single day with an update on me, because like I was the athlete that might die, that people might have watched die. So
And TBI is bad. There's pressure in your brain. Like I mean,
I had 4 brain bleeds.
yeah, this
So when I woke up,
end of your life.
I wasn't 100% there, right? I mean, I was not breathing. There was a tube down my throat. Like, it was critical when I was on the track.
You never thought that was possible, right?
No, I mean, you always, I guess, know that, like, if all the stars align to the worst possible thing, right? But with that being said, that could also happen playing basketball. You could go for a rebound, somebody comes underneath you and you break your neck. Like, if all the stars align for the worst possible thing, you could trip down the stairs and die.
It's true, but I see those jumps that you do, and I can tell you, I'm kind of like, but you're good. I mean, I get it. You've been doing this your entire life.
Yeah.
In fact, I would even think you probably discount the fact, like, nah, I'll be all right.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're always aware of it, but you take precautions. You wear padding and you wear the best helmet, and you don't make bad decisions. Like the number one thing when you're out there is safety, right? You're not just going to do something. You're not just going to do something that's going to put yourself at high risk. You're constantly analyzing.
Even your opponents, same.
Yeah, you're analyzing at all times. Like, okay, as an example, if you're going into a corner and you're considering making a pass, now you're going 35 miles an hour making this decision in a split second. You're analyzing, what is the percentage that this pass works? What is the percentage that it doesn't work? What is the percentage that I go down? What is the percentage that we both go down? Like, you're just running like constant analyzations in your mind. So you know that it's a 0.001% possibility, but you just, it's like, you just never think that's going to be you. But yeah, it happened, and all the stars aligned for it to be the worst possible scenario, but then all the stars also aligned for it to be the best possible scenario, and I made a full recovery.
And now you still feel, though, in the chase of the Olympic gold, it was worth the risk. Was it worth it?
I mean, I don't think you can look at it that way, because if somebody would have told me after I won the Olympics in 2016, like, hey, if you go for this again, this might happen, right? Like, if it had been brought to you like that, then of course I wouldn't take that risk. And I actually had to make that decision, because when I made my recovery, like, whatever it was, like a year and a half after I had 6+ months of neurological rehabilitation, shoulder reconstruction, I was fully healed.
Do you have difficulty walking? Like, you had to...
Not walking, it was processing. It was more like just brain function. Like, you could give me a couple words and tell me ask me what words you just said, and I wouldn't remember them.
Oh, wow.
I was like a goldfish.
Wow.
But it all came back. It all healed. But I had to sit with the doctor. The doctor explained, because like, I was 15 minutes away from defending a gold medal. I did 5 years of work and I didn't get to finish the job. And now my data points are, I've won the Olympics. I was the number 1 seed in the Olympics, and I was the number 1 seed again and on pace to do it, but I didn't get a chance to finish. Now there's 2 years until the Paris Olympics. Do I go and try to make the ultimate recovery, come back and go try to finish the job again?
I'm pretty sure you evaluated that,
and I sat
you
there
wanted to do it,
and I thought about it. And in talking to the doctor, he basically explained, like, I'm not going to tell you that you can or can't do anything. You've made a full recovery, but you can't take a hit the way you used to. Think like a boxer at the end of their career. He's like, what would have just been a mild concussion might get made worse. And so I had to analyze and think about, like, is it worth brain damage to just take the risk? And what I figured was, even if there was a 0.1% chance, it wasn't worth it to me. If you could guarantee me, the universe, God, whoever, somebody could just guarantee, like, hey, you're never going to crash again, you're never going to hit your head again, I would have done it. But if there was no guarantee and there was even the tiniest chance, it wasn't worth that risk to have brain damage for the rest of my life. So I thought about it for about a week, and I was like, nah, it's not worth it to go to my 4th Olympics.
Good for you.
And I decided to walk away.
Because I, to be honest with you, up to this point, and even the way I perceive you, like, my father is a dead man. He's not here anymore. But you and him are cut of a cloth that the rest of us aren't. Just different. In your mind, then, if you were a Spartan, if you were in that era, you would have been a 300 Spartan. For you to stop and make what I view actually the right choice, choose life. You got people that care about you, friends, like, you need a lot more ice cream in your life.
Yeah.
You choose that,
Yeah.
That's probably one of the biggest decisions of your life.
It was hard, but it was easy at the same time. It was hard because I've only ever been a BMX racer. Like, since I was 8 years old, I've introduced myself as calling it the BMX racer. Like, I dedicated my entire life between the ages of 8 and 28 to being the best BMX racer in the world. And so then you wake up on Monday morning afterwards and you're like, all right, well then, act 2. But at the same time, it's so exciting because now this whole world of possibilities has opened up. And now I can do whatever I want and try something new and fail. I've tried stuff and I've failed. I've tried stuff and I've succeeded, and it's been a blast. And while that,
these are different emotions and sensations for you because you've been so hyper-focused.
100%. And while that day was the worst day of my life, in many regards, it was the best day of my life. Because it was, when you go through a near-death experience, how does it not change you? How does it not shift your perspective?
If it didn't, you might not be human.
And I've talked to other people who have had near-death experiences, and we all have a similar thing. Like, you just don't sweat the small stuff the way you used to. You appreciate things a little bit more. You appreciate life a little bit more. The sun shines a little bit brighter. That ice cream tastes a little bit better. Not to say that I have bad days too, right? I have self-doubts or whatever, but I'm genuinely just appreciative to be here.
It's a second chance at life.
It really is. And how I describe things to people is, my act 1 was the BMX act, and I am now in act 2. And I don't know exactly what act 2 is going to entail because we're early in act 2. But I get act 2. And the hardest question that I've been asked is, like, if you could redo it again, would you do the same thing, right? Would you want it any different? And that's such a hard question to answer because all the things lined up. If I would have been a millimeter farther forward or farther back, then I'd be fine. What happens if I win the Olympics? What does my life look like today? I have no idea, right? But I like where my life is today. So I don't know if I would change. It's a really hard
You're
question.
born again, man. That's what I see. You're reborn, man, like that. But look, you can take your winning mentality, and I can tell you, like, I'm sitting here listening to you. I'm inspired by this. I think, like I said, I know standing on an Olympic pedestal with that gold medal in your mind is the best moment of your life, but I think I'm proud of you for that decision to do the right thing and to go into this second life. And yeah, you gotta tell your story. I think there's a lot of great things ahead for that.
I appreciate that. It's funny. My mom told me after I met, she's, my parents know better than to try to tell me what to do, right? Ever since I was a kid, like, I was just so headstrong. I was going to do what I was going to do. You don't win the Olympics without having that headstrong. But my mom told me, she's like, I'm so glad you made this decision, because if you said you were going to come back, I was not going to let you. So she's like, I'm glad you got there on your own. But in talking about the acts, I always talk about, like, how act 1 was all about me, trying to be the best in the world. Act 2 is all about serving and helping others. And I derive a lot of my joy and purpose now from helping others. Whether it's, in the keynote speaking world, I'll do a speech and people will come up to me after and tell me that you shifted my perspective. You changed this. You've inspired me to do this. I'm going to take this lesson that you taught me and apply it to my own life. Whether that's in BMX coaching and I teach a kid how to jump a jump for the first time and I see how excited it makes him. Whether it's, having a friend who's going through a hard time and being able to support them, right? I derive a lot of my joy and purpose now from serving others. Whereas before I was selfish because you have to be. You don't become the best in the world in an individual sport without being selfish.
Listen, winning gold is one thing. It's still just a thing. If you save a life, that's everything.
Yeah.
That kid that you teach to make a jump, that may make him a man, and his children and his children will benefit from that. That's everything. Yeah. Your priorities are in the right place, Connor. I'm loving this and eating this up. If any of my audience, I know they are too, if they want to get in touch with you, attend some of your keynotes, or I bet you there's a lot of business people on here.
Yeah.
If they want to bring you in and that you could share your story and with their people, how do they get in contact?
Easiest way would just be on my website, www.connorfields.com. Contact form on there. Shoot me a message and, happy to work with you to figure out what you're looking for, what works best. And then social media, all the regulars, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook, all that stuff. It's at ConnorFields11, which is my name and my old racing number.
Personal question before we end this. There's always the possibility that you may have children that could be Olympians. Are you good with that or not good with that? Would you help them do that, or is that something that they got to figure out?
I will support my kids from whatever dream that they want to chase. That was one thing I think my parents did really well to me, and I encourage any parents listening to take this to heart. Almost all the successful athletes that I've seen, not all, but almost all, have parents who provided them opportunities, provided them support, and taught high moral lessons. They didn't yell, they didn't scream, they didn't force. My parents took me to the BMX track and provided me with the opportunity to go to work. They took me to the coaching and provided me the opportunity to work. They got mad at me or punished me when I was lazy, when I quit, when I wasn't a good sport to the other athletes. They never yelled at me for losing. They never yelled at me for not being good enough. It was for character. It was for effort, how I treated people, things like that. So with my children, they will play a sport. If I have kids, don't care what sport, whatever they want, because I think you can learn so much about life and business through sport. But if they decide that they want to be, in a band and they want to play the electric guitar, then I will support them playing the electric guitar.
Mama and Papa Fields, you raised a good man, right? So with that, I'm moving to my final thoughts. For many of you out there in the business world, business community, I was an MBA. We are driven on that win at all cost thing. I hope that you saw from Connor, our American gold medalist, that winning is one thing, losing is another. But to be able to put either of those in the proper perspective, to have empathy for others, to still find a way to win in life, that is the path to making the world a better place. If you like this content, like, share, subscribe. We're trying to get stories of these great American entrepreneurs out to you to make your life better. With that, I will leave you until the next Twist of Fate.
Twist of Fate is hosted by Doug Younger. It's produced by Julian Sepulveda at Mode of Motion Advertising and Film. Special thanks to all of our Patreon members, and if you want to be a part of our growing community, join our Patreon and get access to bonus material, Twist of Fate merch, and more. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and share. Thanks for listening.